Welcome back. Today Martin's gonna say,
Hello.
today we're gonna be resuming building our Project Truck car, Mazda MX-5NC. Martin has picked up some new EBC Yellows, which we'll be getting them installed and getting ready for his first track day. We still have a roll bar to go get, but on this small budget, we are working through all the setup. So come enjoy the ride and let's get started. Let's get started. So we're going to be now looking at, we need to remove two 14mm bolts. The first one at the top, as you can see, and the second one is on the bottom. You might need to use a a wrench to hold the um, pin in before moving. Here you'll see just removing it, naturally just breaking it. It's quite easy to break in this car, and I'm using the lazy man uh, to just unscrew because don't want to spin it. As you can see, there's no issues. The pins were pretty non-seize on this side, and again, you might need to use some 20 or 21 wrench to hold the pin so you can actually break it. It's pretty straightforward to remove the caliper. Now we're just gonna get some bungee cord, hold it up while we remove the pads and everything. So recommend just putting bungee. We're strapping it to the springs, and it's gonna hold it nicely without kinking anything. So it's a good way of just keeping it out of your way. Just making sure the lines are nice. First step pops out, no issues. There's a weird little trick on it that we had to fidget with the front because it's kind of placing and sitting. It's just Martin gave me a hand here, which is great. Thank you, Martin. And now we're moving back. So let's take a look. So the first thing we did was to clean up the pad clips to ensure we remove all the gum grease from it. All four sides. Use a wire brush here um, to get it nicely cleaned and put back in. So we do that for all four of them, and this will ensure that the new pads can slide nicely when they get pressed by the caliper. So do that first before we install the new pads. So let's take a look at that and we're using our channel pliers now to push back the piston. The piston is going real and smooth. Just gotta get the pliers on. And once we have the pistons in, we're going to get the new EBC Yellows out. As you can see, I'm sweating a little bit. That's mostly due to the California heat. It's 107 degrees Fahrenheit today. So let's take a look. We got the new EBC Yellows. And here's the old and the new box from, as you can see, I've been using these brands for a while now. So let's get them unboxed. It's a little it's stuck, but so we're gonna get the driver side out first, which is just there's no real any order, but you can see they come nicely wrapped. There's a breaking in procedure which will show up in the thing. But if you guys haven't checked out the previous video on the getting the car tech kind of inspected ready, please do check it out. Please ensure to like and subscribe the video if you guys like it, and place some comments. What pads do you guys normally use for track? That'd be great to know. With the Mazda, we're just putting the clips back in now, and we're gonna just put uh, a little bit of grease coming up in a second. So let's take a look at that. Now we're just going to checking this the slider pins. They seem to be a little bit uh, loose, not bad, but we're just gonna re-grease them anyway as a safe precaution to see to ensure what to do with it. So I'm gonna get some grease right now, and we're gonna put some high temp grease on it so they don't loosen up. It's pretty easy to pop them off. Just push and it'll come up. We can see how very little grease is left, and most of it has been burned out, but and it just kind of turns into this weird gummy feeling. So make sure you just kind of you can see here there's very almost no grease left, just a little gunk. So we're just gonna clean take a rag, clean it. That's a good way, just kind of keeping them, making sure it's good. Put some high temp silicone on it. This one just ensure that they don't burn up in the heat and give us a better pad wear on the track. So we'll do that on both uh, caliper pins, on both pins. And once we get that on inside for the bottom one, we're popping that right back in, and let's do the same for the top. We're re-greasing it, the top one now. Clean it nicely. Make sure you clean it good clean. Get all the gunk off it. Uh, these things do wear out, so make sure you check every couple track days that you guys do have a good the grease is still good, and depending how much heat it is. We're just checking everything now, but keep an eye on them. So now just a click, let's just put a little NTCs on the little caliper uh, pins where you get pad clips, sorry, pad clips, and we're just gonna do that on all four corners, up and down. This was just kind of making sure they don't get stuck or see, so just a little bit there. It's an old trick that I learned a long time ago. And now it's time for the pads, and they just go straight in, one at a time. There's a little, like I said, wedging the front one is kind of odd, but you gotta put it on the right angle. And you can see here that we're just always struggling. The front and the back one just pops right in, and then we're just gonna pop the caliper back in a second, and yeah, we're done. It's we're gonna top off some fluids in the reservoir, just making sure we have enough fluids. Don't forget to check that once you press it in, and we're gonna do the same thing on the other side. The other side actually gives us some issue, so let's wait and see how that goes. If you guys haven't liked the video yet, please ensure to click that like button now, and leave some comments and feedback how the next one should be on the getting the roll bar installed. So we're just gonna pop it in again, 2 screws, and going back, you will have to hold the slider pins with either channel lock or some sort of vise or something, or socket 20 or 21, I think it was, wrench, not socket but wrench. Yeah, it's getting tiring, so let's take a look here. We're putting back the pins, and it is such a hot day that, oh, I can't believe how hot it was. I don't know what we're doing, crazy thinking of doing this stuff. So let's get those in, and you can see we're a little bit struggling here out here. Wow. I should fast forward this, make it go fast. Put on our lazy man, get that drilling. Guess it didn't really work, the lazy man. We gotta get that caliper, as we can see. Let's get a little socket, and make sure you torque it down to the spec. Check your spec sheet for that. it should be approximately for those bolts about 16 to 23 pounds of torque. So just hand tighten them is good enough. As you see, we're using channel locks there, and we're just gonna hand tighten it to it. It's about 16 to 23 foot-pounds of torque according to Mazda spec. So yeah, time for the passenger side. Here we're just going to repeat everything we have done in the driver's side. Removing the bolts now. We're gonna, once the bolts are removed, we're gonna put the caliper. The first thing we're gonna do is just press in the caliper. In this time, instead of using the channel locks, we're going to use the C. It's a C press, I guess you could call it. You can see right here, just there's a second different method of pressing in the caliper. They both work the same. This one just puts a little bit of pressure on the inside, so a little bit more, but you know, I felt like we could show you that there's two different multiple ways of getting the caliper pressed. Again, no issues here. It was pretty straightforward, and once we got it in, hanged it up, and we just repeated the process. The only main difference in this round this time was that one of the pins, slider pins, was a little bit more seized up, and we had to remove it. We'll show you in a little bit where how it was, but same thing, just cleaned it up, clean everything up. So let's take a look at that, and once all this is done, we'll have the car back and we'll show you the get to the braking process. Okay, now we're putting back the pads back in on the side. We are almost done and ready to take this car out for oops! My clumsy hands are pretty easy. Almost lost that pad. But yeah, pop the pads in. Same way, a little bit fidgeting in the front here on the side of the rotor. As you can see, just making sure everything. Give it a little wipe down, making sure I didn't get any contaminants on there. So now we're putting back the caliper back on the pads. Everything's looking good. And let's get in there again. We're just gonna have to, we might have get the bungee cord out of the way, making sure we don't put the pins back in. Here I will use some sort of vise to something to hold it, in, since I didn't have the right wrench at the time. I still believe it's like I think a 20 or 21. That's the only thing that's missing out of my set. So we'll get that clip in, and let's get that everything torqued down again. Making sure once you do I head to everything, it's approximately 16 to 23 pounds, as previously noted. Let's see if our little handy wrench, lazy boy, gets us in there. Yeah, it's working nicely on both sides. Then it will just hand tighten the bolts. I don't want to over tighten these bolts, but yeah, since it is 16 pounds, it's pretty easy to do with your hands. But if you do have a torque wrench, please make sure you use one and getting. So let's take a look at everything, wrapping up, clamping down, get that torqued in by hand, and then we're going to do the bottom bolt as well. Again, it's a 14 mil for the wrench, and as you can see, just hold it. It's going to help us just quickly, bada boom, bada bing, get in there, and let's do it. So making sure, don't forget guys, like and subscribe to the video so we can continue making these educational videos on how you could do it. Brakes looks great, ECB looks great, and we are ready for our test run with the new pads. I can tell you they're going to be much more firmer gripping than the stock ones, and they're a great track day pad for street and track. Again, if you're going to be more aggressive, you might want to go to much more aggressive pads, but that's in the future. Since we're beginning, this is for beginners, this is a perfect way to start off. So we got the car now. Let's go in. We're gonna go for a test drive and break these, start breaking these pads in. It is a process. It's approximately, you want to do about 100 miles, short stops, soft, and then about 200 miles, a little bit longer. So yeah, hope you enjoy. Please make sure to subscribe and like, and we'll be back with more videos.